Hi, hello. Clara here, and I would like to tell you some of my mom's paranormal stories today. See, it's not just me that paranormal stuff happens to. It is actually said that paranormal stuff runs in families, and it's also said to run stronger through the women in families. So, I find it kind of cool that paranormal stuff has also happened to my mom. Now, not as much as happened to my dad, but my mom has 3 stories I want to share with you today, and 2 of them I was there for, 1 of them I was not. And I'm super excited, so let's just jump right into this. So the first story I'd like to tell you happened back when I was in middle school. Now, understand that ever since elementary school, I've been doing plays at her high school with the drama teachers. And eventually she took over. So when she did, and prom season rolled around, we would use the spotlights for prom season and help out with that stuff. And me being her daughter, I was free help. And I was never late, so I would help her by doing the spotlight for the prom. Talk about pressure on a middle schooler, but I loved it. And then we get another high schooler to handle another spotlight, and she would actually work in the back with the prom girls, like helping them on and off stage and in and out of the dressing room, because I was actually up a really long stairwell, which wasn't that smart. But anyway, one night we were actually on our way home about 10 o'clock, and I was in the rear seat behind the passenger. And of course my mom was driving, and we were alone, and we were talking about how good the night went. And I remember her specifically saying something about how she could not wait for me to drive because she was going to make me drive her everywhere. And trust me, she did. She made me drive her everywhere. The day I turned 15, she stopped driving, and she still doesn't. But back to the story. She was talking about how she was never going to drive again when I got my license. And then she just stopped talking mid-sentence. And then she asked me the weirdest question. She asked me if I had just put my hand in front of her face. And I looked at her and I said, "No, I can't even reach you from over here." And she looked back in the back seat, not in the passenger seat, and she saw where I was sitting and saw that there's no way I could have reached her. So she kind of pulled over to the side, and I asked her what was wrong because she was very obviously shaken up. And she told me that a black thing had just come in front of her face, and it looked like a hand, and she wouldn't have actually even been able to tell it was a hand except for the fact that she could see the spaces in between the fingers. So like when you hold your hand up, get it so close that all you can see are the spaces in between your fingers. And she said the hand was pitch black. So she was really, really shaken up and really scared. And she actually forgot about it until I brought it up later on, and I kind of felt bad about it because it's not something I don't think she really wanted to remember. Now, the second story happened actually one Christmas when we were playing board games on our Wii. And I remember I was sitting on the couch, my mom was sitting on the ground with her back against the recliner. And then my dad and sister were on the other side of her. And I remember I was staring at the TV when all of a sudden the motion of my mom's patting her hair down kind of made me look over at her. And when I did, I saw just like a little piece, like maybe about that big, just kind of lift up and pull a little bit. Not hard, just tighten. Probably about like that, not very tight. And it just kind of pulled. And she went, "Stop that!" And she turned around and yelled at the seat. And my sister was like, "What happened?" And my mom said, "Something just pulled my hair." And I didn't say anything. I just kind of watched. And she told me, and I was just like, "Oh." And we continued to play. And then, all of a sudden, I was watching everybody at this point. I was not watching the TV. When I saw her hair full on pick up and pull her head completely like back into the side. I'm really thick-headed, so it wouldn't make me move my head. But her hair's not near as long as mine. Her hair's like here maybe. But it pulled her head. And it was actually on the back. I'm doing it on the side so y'all can see. But it pulled her head back. And she jumped up and said, "Now, come on guys, stop it." And she was talking to the ghost. She knew what she was talking to. And my sister's like, "What happened?" And she said, "It pulled my head." And she looked over at me, and I guess my eyes were wide, and she could tell that I had seen something. And she's like, "You saw that?" And I nodded, because I was still in a little bit of shock from what had just happened. And she moved seats, and it didn't happen again that night, but she was very, very creeped out. And this last story is actually really, really scary. It's the scariest thing that has ever happened to anyone I personally know. And this happened to her when she was alone. She was going out to the garage one day when she was home alone. I don't know where me and my dad were. Can't remember. But she was going out there to get something. And when she went out, she could hear this woman talking. And this woman, we actually hear, all of us have heard, me, my mom, and my hearing impaired dad. This is the only experience that I know of that he's had here, but even he has heard her. And I heard a man too the first time, and then my mom started to hear the man. And there's a man and a woman, and they talk. And when they talk, it doesn't sound realistic because they never pause, they never stop for a breath, they don't stop in between words, it's just constant talking. And when it's both of them talking, they go back and forth, and in between one stopping and the other one picking up, again, there is no pauses, no stopping, no nothing. It's really, really creepy. But the weird thing about it is, it sounds like it's just in the other room or just out of your hearing range, so you can hear them, but you can't understand them no matter how hard you focus. But you always feel like you're just about to understand them if you just focus a little more, or move into the next room, or go outside, or like go to your window or something. If you just walk to the other side of the room sometimes. But no matter where you go, it just sounds just out of your hearing range. So this man and woman, well, actually, they'd been talking the whole time we've been here, but this time it was just a woman, and she was talking, and my mom just yelled out, "I can't understand you, so if you want something, you gotta speak up." And she continued to hear the talking, and out of anger she said, "If you don't speak up, don't say anything at all." And when she said that, she started hearing this metal just banging, going boom, 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 boom. And she turned around, and we have a bunch of filing cabinet and cabinet metal like cabinets that you'd see at an office or something out in our garage. And they have like different things like medicines, foods, and this in particular cabinet had flammable chemicals in it. Anything that can basically like blow up, we put in this cabinet. So it's like the cabinet that you don't get matches near. And the right side door was swinging open as far as it could and slamming closed as hard as it could. Like someone was slamming it closed, waiting for it to bounce back, even though that's not possible with that cabinet, and then slamming it closed again. Now, this cabinet is kind of rusted, very hard to open. I can't open it. I actually have to get help, or I have to put one foot on the left side door and pull. And it was just going back and forth, and she said it was full on closing. And she screamed out, "What do you want? What do you want?" And that's when the cabinet started slamming harder and harder and harder. And she freaked out and she ran past the cabinet and out the garage and into, or to the side door. and the side door's up like 3 steps and on like a little mini porch. And she ran up them, and she was grabbing the doorknob, and she heard like the screaming, screeching of a cry, and she spun around and looked at the garage. But what she saw was to the left of the garage was like, we have all these woods, and there was this one tree in particular that's like a little bit out from the woods. It stands about 40 foot tall, and the whole tree was covered in blackbirds, and even the ground was like black from all the birds that were there. And she turned around and she ran inside and she locked the door. Then she ran into her bedroom and locked that door, and she climbed onto her bed, and then she started laughing at herself for trying to lock out a ghost. And she actually still laughs to this day that she tried to lock out a ghost. So those are my mom's stories. They're pretty creepy. At least that last one I know is. And I got tons more. Maybe I could get a few more out of my dad and I could do one on him. That'd be cool. Oh, I know my sister would love to share. So maybe I could get her on here. So, love y'all. Goodbye, good day, and good night.